wherever you want it. This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
The original order that has just been rescinded was unconstitutional by a finding of a federal court. The court found it not only violated Article 1 of the Constitution, it violated the health care law itself, because Congress had the ability to grant subsidies under the federal law, but had chosen not to. In fact, the administration had come to Congress and asked for this money, and Congress said no. And then the president said, all right, I'll just order it directly from the Treasury. Well, you can't do that. I mean, the defining power of Congress is the power of the purse. And the federal judge issued an historic ruling and said, this is wrong. You can't violate the Constitution, no matter what your motivations are, no matter what you're complaining about with Congress. You have to play within the rules of the Constitution.
Yeah, well, you know, rules and schmools and laws and things get in the way of progressive, you know, pipe dreams. So that was liberal law professor Jonathan Turley on the fact that, so I've been watching, Ken, a lot of different shows this weekend to see if anybody except Fox would talk about this.
Right.
And they don't want to talk about it. They just want to talk about how mean Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
And he's sabotaging it and blah, blah, blah. So that was Jonathan Turley on the unconstitutionality of those subsidy payments in the first place that Trump ended, thank God, this week. And this is Tim Jones. Welcome to the Tim Jones Show here on FM News Talk 97.1. And joining us now is none other than the great Annie Fry of The Annie Fry Show, host of The Annie Fry Show on Saturdays from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on FM News Talk 97.1. Annie, good evening. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday.
Oh, no problem. I'm always begging people to join me on a Saturday, so I'm happy to be able to join you on a Sunday evening. You have a great show. And I want to encourage people, too, to make sure if they miss your show, you can go to 971top.com and catch the podcast there, too. That's something that's been going for a few weeks now, and it's a great podcast to pick up on a Monday morning if you couldn't get the whole thing on a Sunday evening. So you can get the Tim Jones Show podcast right there at 971top.com.
Well, thank you so much, Annie. And Annie, of course, knows about that because, folks, she doesn't just work one day a week here at 97.1. She's here like 7 days a week. She's the web mistress, I guess. I mean, Annie keeps the engine running. She keeps all of us up, loaded and so on and so forth. So she's here every single day. And now I've got her working on a Sunday, too.
Well, you know, when you live in the state of Illinois, you have to work 7 days a week in order to fund the tax liability that you have for all of the malfeasance going on in Springfield, Illinois.
So, Annie, that's exactly why I wanted to have you on this week. We talked several months ago around the time that they were crafting that horribly, really bad, no good budget deal where they were going to jack up taxes again in Illinois, force more people to walk with their feet, to speak with their feet and leave the state. The most fled state in 2016 was Illinois, folks, believe it or not. And Annie's Annie's watching all of her neighbors just pick up and lock the door and head on out in the moving trucks every day, aren't you?
Yeah, and you know, the thing that's unfortunate about that is that with every taxpayer that leaves, the tax burden on the folks that stick around, it increases. And you know, Illinois is a great state. We're going to start celebrating our bicentennial on December 3rd. It's a big kickoff. It should be a time to be extremely proud to be from the state of Illinois. It is a great state. The problem is that it's been run by morons for decades now. You know, the Illinois Department of Insurance just released their report on fiscal year 2016. 671 pension funds. We added $17 billion in this fiscal year 2016 in additional unfunded liabilities with the pension funds. That now totals $185 with $1 billion, which that amount alone, the pension fund liability alone, is larger than the entire budget for 25 states in the United States.
Gosh. So
that is the capacity of what we're looking at now.
Yeah, Annie, that pension, I guess, you know, it's not, you know, overly exciting to talk about pensions, but that pensions are they have real people connected to them who are expecting those pensions because they were promised to them. That's one of the real, I'm sure there's several, but that's one of the biggest ticking time bombs in Illinois, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And it's not exciting to talk about it. It's actually terrifying to talk about it because we're talking about teachers, people who are educating our kids, people who are protecting us, and you know, from top to bottom, we all know people who are going to be immediately affected by some type of inability to pay these funds, and these people have been made a promise. They're expecting to have something, and the legislators in the Democratic-controlled legislature, they decided to do a little thing called a pension holiday, and they took a holiday from having to actually put the money away in order to fund these things. And these were the Democrats, and these are the people who the unions continue to flood into Springfield to raise the pension funds, but somehow or another the union manages to get these Democrats reelected and put into Springfield. And I'm telling you what, I know it's a midterm election in 2018, but in 2018, we have a governor who is up for reelection. And I don't think he's going to make it past March. We have a governor who said he was going to give us tax cuts. Well, raised our taxes. He said he was going to reform pensions. But he passed a budget that isn't balanced, that didn't address pension reforms. He said he was going to give us term limits. He said he was going to do all these things, and he compromised against the taxpayer every single time. But you know where he's not willing to compromise? On killing innocent babies. He signed a bill that he said earlier this year, HB 40. He said, I'm going to veto that bill when it comes to my desk. And he said that when the budget crisis was still going on, and he didn't want to upset Republicans from getting a deal done. He said he was going to veto it. The budget got passed. It wasn't the budget the Republicans wanted. It raised our taxes. He signed the bill. And now our tax dollars through Medicaid dollars are going to fund abortions because he said he's not willing to change his beliefs on that. Well, I think that the Republicans in the state of Illinois would roll the dice on a conservative fiscal Democrat instead of a wolf in sheep's clothing Republican like Governor Rauner in March.
Well, Annie, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like the circle of insanity goes round and around, right? Because the same thing happened with, who was the U.S. Senator that was elected over there, the Republican who also only lasted one term because he became a Democrat, basically?
Kirk, yeah.
Yeah. So Kirk, same thing, right? So these guys ride into town on their white stallions, and I had high hopes for Bruce Rauner because he campaigned on all the right messages. He started governing the right way, and then I guess it got hard, and he backed off. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Illinoisans, they do know that they're starting to get the sense of the epic failure that the Democrat governing class has been for 40, 50 years over there. So, okay, so they throw a bone to Senator Kirk, and they elect him. And then he's the wolf in sheep's clothing. Then they elect Governor Rauner. Same thing. And they're like, they're like, gosh, we can't win for losing, right? It's like, so what happened to Governor Rauner? Why so off the rails?
Somebody on Twitter made a good point to me about Rauner. And I thought that Rauner was going to be kind of Trumpian in the way he came in, not somebody who, he told us, he's always said that he was a pro-choice guy. He never, ever told us that he was pro-life, but he did tell us, he did say that he was going to stay out of the social issues. That's not why he was running, and Illinois has enough fiscal issues to last 4 years of trying to fix that he doesn't need to wade into that. The problem is that he hasn't accomplished anything in the same capacity which Donald Trump was. And someone compared him on Twitter to the John McCain of Republican candidates.
Okay.
If John McCain would have won in 2008, this is what it would look like.
Oh.
Everybody would be upset, and it would automatically lead to another Democrat. I think what he did is he underestimated the power of Mike Madigan in Springfield, the Democratic machine, the nastiness of the politics. And I think that he gave too much in his negotiating, and he just isn't willing to defend the taxpayers over the machine that is in Springfield. He's left the taxpayers behind. He does not have our best interest at heart. That's
really a shame. Speaking of Annie Fry, host of the Annie Fry Show on Saturdays here at FM News Talk 97.1 from 5 to 7 p.m. So Annie, before we leave Illinois, is there any good news? Can you give us any silver linings? Is there any brave souls over there who are trying to do something that would help the state from its economic morass that it's in?
I'll tell you, yes, there are. There's a ton of people, and they live in the houses with the enormous property taxes. They are listening to your show right now, and they're happy to hear you addressing the issue that's going on in Illinois. A lot of people, especially downstate, we've got all these troubles, but everything is just seeping out of Chicago. This sewage that comes out of Chicago and makes it down to Springfield nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to address it. But people are really hurting. People are hurting in their pocketbooks. They're hurting in their checking accounts. The jobs are hard to find because nobody wants to have a business in the state of Illinois because it's so oppressive. There are a lot of good people there, and I actually have my money on the fine people, the voters in the state of Illinois, because they've had enough. And they talk to me about it because I live here. They come up to me. They bring it up. Republican, Democrat, people who are tired of being beaten and battered by the Chicago machine, the people who don't actually care about the residents here. And I'm really hoping that the residents of the state of Illinois rise up and actually get, I think we need 8 seats in the House, which sounds like a lot, but there are a lot of Republicans and Democrats who helped vote for this tax increase that need to be shaken in their boots. And people are engaged. People are paying attention. If we get 8 seats in the House, Mike Madigan loses his speakership. And he's had it for basically as long as I've been alive, and I'm 33 years old.
Well, Annie, they did it in Kentucky last year, and that was after almost 100 years of Democratic rule in the Kentucky House, which means it can happen in Illinois. Because you're right, I drive back and forth to Kentucky quite a bit. We do some business over there through my day job at First Rule. We know Governor Bevin very well. He's a great governor. So, and I have family. I have family over in Louisville as well. So I drive back and forth through Southern Illinois. And you're right. If you didn't know any better, you'd think you were in Missouri, because it's a lot of farm country. It's a lot of good people. It's a lot of heartlanders, blue collar, some professional, industry, some manufacturing. It's pretty normal looking, but it's a shame, like you said, Chicagoland they're like the Death Star, aren't they? Sitting up there on Lake Michigan with long tractor beams that suck up all the taxes,
If you look at a map, I always tell people, they're like, "Oh, Illinois is a blue state." I say, look at a map by county.
Right.
Look at the governor election by county. It's as red as it gets. There's this one blue corner up in the top northeastern corner of the state, and obviously that counts. There's millions and millions of people there. You can't say that they don't count or whatever, but the state is red. And what that little corner does to the rest of the state, it is like being held hostage. And I really, truly believe, and I implore the people who listen to my show, who listen to your show. We talk about Illinois a lot with the Mark Hawk Show, weekdays noon to 3 on 97.1. If you're mad as hell and you cannot take it anymore, do something about it and tell a friend, because you have an opportunity to change it. Every 2 years you have an opportunity to change it, and you could make some really effective change in November with the outlook of how the state functions. And it's about time the people take it back from the massive Madigan machine and get it back on the right track. So they certainly aren't doing it.
So, Annie, let's switch to the national scene. We got a couple minutes left. I always like getting your take on what happened in the week that was. And, while the media is focused on how mean Donald Trump may have been to somebody today, or he doesn't have enough empathy, or they don't like his bedside manner, or blah, 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 blah.
Don't they?
Right. They're so emotional. Let's talk about what he did this week. And, I know you you're critical of the president sometimes, and I think rightly so on some of these we would all like him to maybe say things a little better, or do things a little bit, but he's not a politician, right? So we got to cut him some slack. So that's kind of where that comes from. But I don't have any problem after 10 months with anything he's actually done policy-wise, and I think this week was another good week, not just for Donald Trump, but for America.
The thing that Donald Trump has been doing, and I'm watching this, and you can get bogged down in the culture stuff with the Harvey Weinstein stories and those types of things, because those are important. The culture in our country right now is a very important discussion to have.
Yes.
But in the same time, while you've got all of this going on, you've got Donald Trump doing some massively important things in Washington, D.C. And the thing that is so impressive about what Donald Trump has been doing is he's been restoring power back to the place where it's supposed to be. He says, this is what we're going to do. Congress, if you don't like it, do it differently. And he puts the onus back on Congress, the legislatures, the people who are the most representative of the people in the country, and says, this is your job. This is why you are here. And if you want to spend all this money on this type of initiative, let's do it. Vote on it. Make it happen. Because if you're voting on it, then you are representing the people in your constituency. And that's the way that this is supposed to work. It's not supposed to be the pen and the phone in the Oval Office. And I think that that's one of the things that is most refreshing with Donald Trump. And since the media is so hung up on all their sad sob stories because they can't even imagine that us idiots in the middle of the country are so stupid and so, ingrate to vote for a Donald Trump. This stuff is flying by him, by the media so quickly, they can't even keep up with it. And so they get stuck in these stories, and they get stuck on gun control with 5 seconds after the last bullet is fired in Las Vegas, and then that's what takes the narrative. So these things are easy to miss, but what Donald Trump has been doing so far in his presidency, taking a lot of the power and putting it back into Congress and saying, you need to act, you need to be responsible, you need to do your job. DACA is a perfect example of that, where he has told Congress to get on it and do what the people want. That's why they're there. So I think it's a really important thing to highlight.
Yes, he's returning executive power back to the people's hands where it belongs. Hey, Annie Fry, thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday night. We'll let you get back to that busy little family of yours. And listen, folks, to Annie Fry every Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. here on FM NewsTalk 97.1, The Annie Fry Show. And you can catch her throughout the week on all the other shows. She's on Allman, she's on Cox, she's on my show, and Glover as well. So listen for Annie Fry. You'll hear her voice again during the upcoming week. Thanks so much, Annie. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks, Tim.
Absolutely. That's Annie Fry. She's at Annie Fry Show on Twitter, at Annie Fry Show. This is Tim Jones on The Tim Jones Show, FM News Talk 97.1. Media malpractice. Oh, do we have a doozy for you? Keep right here. We'll play it next.
The Tim Jones Show.
Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
On FM News Talk 97.1.
Broke down on a lonely highway, so loud, how the screams in my...
Hey guys, Glover here. Join Close and me at the Hair Saloon this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we help kick off ticket sales for the Guns N' Hoses fundraiser. Plus 20% of all haircuts will be donated to Backstoppers. So come out to Hair Saloon at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry this Saturday and show your support.
Life moves fast. You just have to keep pace. Luckily for you, Jaguar St. Louis has just the thing. The new 2018 Jaguar F-Pace. This is not your ordinary SUV, offering versatility and luxury with unprecedented sport performance. It's a beast all its own. Lease it today for just $599 a month at Jaguar St. Louis, a Plaza Motor Company in Creve Coeur and JaguarSt.Louis.com. $29.99 down, $599 lease for 39 months plus taxes and fees. 10,000 miles per year. Call 314-301-1700 for details.
All right, Massa's Restaurant. Been around a long, long time. 50 years, kind of like Casey in a way, and they have 5 locations. If you know anything about the restaurant business, probably the toughest business there is. You've seen restaurants that you think were doing great, and you drive by, and all of a sudden they're a produce stand the next week. Massa's continues to grow with more locations. 5 locations. They're all over the place. They serve some of the best Italian. They serve great steaks and seafood. If you're trying to watch your weight, you can go in and get their house salad that is outstanding and make a meal out of their salad. Great pizza. Of course, everything's available to go if you want to do that too. And with 5 locations, pretty much any direction you go, you're going to find great, great food. I got an idea. A gift card will make a great idea, a great gift for someone. You know they're going to use it, and once they try it one time, they're going to be hooked just like you've been over the years. Again, there's 5 locations. The best way to find out the hours and locations is Google them. Go to Massa's, M-A-S-S-A''S, Massa's. It's Massa's, of course.
Radio moves. Radio breathes. Radio never sleeps. And Next Radio keeps up. It goes where you go, so you never miss a beat. It's live, it's local, it's a connection. A shared experience, just you and your radio. And a couple million people, give or take. Next Radio keeps up. You thought that phone couldn't get any smarter? Well, it got simpler. It got leaner. It's got your back. And it'll keep you moving, winning, in the know. And it'll get you where you want to go. All in the palm of your hand. Next Radio. Live and local, wherever you go.
Listen to your favorite FM stations with the free Next Radio app. Live and local, wherever you go. Download the free Next Radio app today.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
At our home, winter nights are complicated. Either I end up freezing,
or I'm sweating.
Hi, I'm Missy Tannen.
And I'm Scott Tannen, founders of Boll & Branch, the world's most comfortable sheets.
And now, we've created the world's first luxury flannel bedding, available for a limited time at bollandbranch.com. Try them risk-free for 30 nights.
Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. Promo code SLEEP.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate, donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Sean Hannity.
Former FBI Director James Comey, yes, he has now signed a book with Flatiron Books. The bid climbed over $2 million. Yes, it pays to be a leaker-in-chief.
Weeknight 7 to 9
on FM News Talk 97.1.
In the ground we bury the seeds of a pantry.
This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
May I have this dance?
The president's decision, it sort of showed again elections have consequences. We went from an administration that stretched to reach this agreement and protected it almost at any cost, regardless of what Iran was doing, to now this administration, which basically says this is a bad agreement for the security of the United States. I thought the president made the right decision, did it in the right way. He could have withdrawn the other day on Friday, but he basically said to Congress, our allies, and the Iranians, we're going to pull out of this agreement unless it changes, because right now it's not in the national security interests of the American people.
No, it is not. And former Democratic presidential candidate Joe Lieberman says so. That was him.
Yeah.
Always a fan of Joe Lieberman. So Ken, I lived in New York for about 10 years. Went to school, college, went to university, Fordham, and then St. John's University for law school. And so I used to catch Joe Lieberman all the time on the airwaves up there because he'd come on the Howard Stern show. He'd be on Imus in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, you remember Imus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Imus and Stern were all, they were kind of adversaries up there.
Yeah, I saw Private Parts. So.
Yeah, great movie. Great movie. Very funny movie. Very, very interesting movie into his... talk about Howard Stern, man. What a career. I mean, the guy literally came from nothing,
Yeah.
and said, I'm going to be a famous radio DJ, and he did it, only in America. So back to Joe Lieberman. So Joe Lieberman, by the end of his tenure in the U.S. Senate, was an independent. He officially was no longer a Democrat, even being from Connecticut. And I'll tell you why. Exactly because of what he said there. Joe Lieberman got tired of the rampant anti-Semitism on the far left wing of the American Democratic Party and the anti-Israeli mentality. I don't know why. I don't know why so many American Jewish folks side with the Democratic Party. Because if you speak to Jews who live in Israel, like Benjamin Netanyahu,
I saw him today, and he was just praising Trump.
He loved. They're staunch. I don't know if you can call them Republicans. They're staunchly in the camp of the more traditional conservative wing of American politics. We can definitely say that.
He said that when you get the Israelis and the Saudis together,
then
you should listen.
You should listen.
You
right.
should be listening. And that's what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah. So, I know the media is wringing their hands and clutching their pearls all weekend about him ending the Obamacare subsidies and him opening up the markets to true free enterprise in the healthcare system and they're just like verklempt, to use a Jewish phrase, about him decertifying the Iranian deal. Well, number one, we're not out of the deal. All Trump has said is, what everybody actually knows is true, is that Iran is not living up to even this deal, which is totally in their favor.
And once again, like Annie said and you said, he's giving the job back to Congress.
Where it belongs.
That's their job.
Where it belongs. Trump has done the absolute opposite of Obama. Obama was an imperial president. The guy wanted to be king. And when he couldn't get his way with Congress, he just did things to executive order. Trump's executive orders, folks, people are saying, oh, well, Trump's doing executive orders. He's undoing Obama's.
He wouldn't be doing them.
Right. He's undoing the damage. DACA kicked it to Congress where it belongs. The Obamacare subsidy payments kicked it to Congress where it belongs. Decertification of the Iranian deal because Iran's not complying, even though Obama gave them like a custard pie on a silver platter. And they've eaten it all, trust me, and now they want more. So he's like, no, you're not complying with even this plan that was in your favor. He's kicking it to Congress where it belongs. All this leads me to the point where everybody and their brother and their mother in the media don't want to talk about, I just talked more policy in the last 30 seconds than you could hear on any station this weekend except for Fox. Except for Fox News, Big Fox. Because what they're talking about on MSNBC is still whether or not Rex Tillerson called Donald Trump a moron 3 weeks ago. And on PBS, they're talking about the clip I'm going to play for you next. So let's do a little media malpractice.
Now, the Tim Jones Show presents...
Someone believes some fake news story.
Especially by the media.
This is very dangerous to America.
The corporatist, globalist media.
Media malpractice.
There was total graciousness toward Texas and graciousness toward Florida, but he's incapable of showing any compassion and graciousness toward people who were just trying to find drinking water in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And so the lesson is the lesson that we're all going to draw from that.
Here it comes.
That the people in Puerto Rico don't look like a lot of the people in Texas, and I think that's probably a pretty fair judgment.
Jamie's got that sounder that says, "You cannot be serious." You've got to be kidding me. So Ken, okay. Number one, it's all. Let me just tell you this, all folks. I don't even have to defend this because none of it's true, and I'm going to play you a Puerto Rican delegate in her own words in a second here in the next clip. But before I play that, let me take this apart. It's not true. Number one. Secondly, they want to say that Trump's not taking care of Puerto Rico because there's brown people there. I cannot believe David Brooks actually just said that, but he did. He said it today. David Brooks of the New York Times. David Brooks of the New York Times. You know, these people in their ivory towers and you know, I love New York City.
New York Times.
New York Times. Then they get on PBS. So, David Brooks, what do you think about the president's uncouth actions?
Such a gentleman.
In Puerto Rico. They'll say Puerto Rico. Yeah, I can do that too. I control my R's too because I actually lived with a real Puerto Rican for 3 years. So yeah, you know, Jose Benitez, my very best friend, he's okay. He's doing good. Well, Donald Trump doesn't care about Puerto Ricans because they're brown people. They don't look like Texans or Florida. I got a news flash for you. There's Hispanic people in Texas. And there's a ton of them in Florida, too. And there's a lot of Democrats in both states, especially Florida. Florida is a purple state.
A lot of Cuban Americans in Florida.
There's a couple. I'm going to be in South Beach this week. I'll be a minority in South Beach, and that's fine. But to say that he didn't take care of Puerto Rico because they don't look like Texas, what do they look like? Yes, they do. I mean, what a racist.
I heard rumors that the mayor of Puerto Rico was doing, keeping all of the supplies and everything on the borders of Puerto Rico, just to make Trump look bad.
So just to show you how completely hateful these people are, that they'll do anything to argue that Donald Trump is a racist. They'll do anything to not talk about the Dow being at historic highs, unemployment being at historic lows, wages moving upward for the first time in 12 years, 10, 12 years. Fixing so many problems that we just talked about with Annie Fry and Ken and I have been talking about all night. They don't want to focus on those things that are true, so they'd rather make stuff up. Here is a report on the ground from a real Puerto Rican who happens to also be in their government there. She is the Puerto Rican delegate to the U.S. And this is what she had to say about what Trump is doing and what he's not.
When people are used to have politicians that are politically correct, that follow the script, and it's not like that. I mean, what you see is what you get, and that's the way he is. I'm not saying that I am comfortable or the right, praise all the way he managed the issue, but I will tell you that the president, everything the president said that he was going to send to the island, it's getting there. The resources are there. The help is there. He instructed all his cabinet members to treat Puerto Rico as a state in terms of this hurricane, because we are U.S. citizens. I mean, that kind of instruction is important to have access to all those programs.
There you go. Straight from a government official on the ground. A real Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico. That was you can look that up. That was on, and that wasn't on some right-wing blogosphere where they clipped a bunch of stuff together. That was on USA Today. Okay? They're no friends of Trump at USA Today.
But you wouldn't hear that on NBC or MSNBC.
No, heck no. You have to go find it like I do. I bring you this stuff so you can fight your liberal friends with fire. And you can, when they say Donald Trump's a racist and he's not helping Puerto Rico and they're all dying, which is what the San Juan mayor wants to say, she's the only one. But see, she's the one that MSNBC and CNN and all the other failed news networks put on. All the other ones, like that nice young lady that I just played, are saying, and I couldn't play you her whole clip because it's a pretty long interview. But in the beginning, you know what she says, Ken? What? She says, it was unusual what Donald Trump did because he came in and he knew everything when he got here. And he had answers to all of our questions, and he came to all the briefings, and he knew exactly what was going on and where we needed stuff. She goes, that was the first time I'd seen that.
He's a builder.
Yeah. And then she said, on the clip I played you, he's done everything he said he would do. And to completely, absolutely dismantle David Brooks's, ivory tower, white. I don't. He calls himself a Republican. He's not. The guy's not a. Well, maybe he's a rhino. I don't know. He's not a conservative. This white ivory tower attitude. She said, he's getting it done because he's treating Puerto Rico like a state, not like some podunk island full of people that don't look like him, which is what David Brooks said he was doing. She said, the Puerto Rican said, he's treating us like Texas. He's treating us like Florida. Even though we're in the middle of the ocean. Pretty darn far from the... Folks, you can... To get to Puerto Rico, you basically have to fly for 2 hours over water. Okay? It's not like it's down the street and you can just drive a truck there. You have to take boats, big boats. And they made fun of him for saying, oh, it's surrounded by water. He was making the point that this isn't like he can send... the militia or the National Guard from all the surrounding states. There is no surrounding state, It was an island devastated by hurricane 3 times.
Right.
So you can listen to the failed fake news and the media, or you can listen to the things that the Tim Jones Show brings you. So if you'd rather listen to the latter. Hey, this is the Tim Jones Show. We are here all evening this evening. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thanks for joining us here at FM News Talk 97.1. We've got, that was the first hour about in the can, but keep it right here because we have a big treat for you. Literally a big treat. My friend Ryan Johnson is joining us in studio, and I told Ken, he's Ken and me and maybe another one of us put together. Ryan's a big boy, but he's got a big brain too. He is the former co-founder and president of Missouri Alliance for Freedom. If his name sounds familiar, you've heard him many, many, many times on this station in the past. He's been on the Allman Report on ABC 30 with Jamie Allman. I've interviewed him on the other shows I've hosted. I believe he's been on Mark Cox and Allman in the Morning and so on and so forth. So he's going to join us live here in studio. He's from the Kansas City area, but he had some business over here in St. Louis, so we were able to snag him for this second hour. He's going to talk about a very important case involving public sector unions where the Supreme Court may throw out the big union labor boss power to automatically force wages out of workers' hands. It's going to be a great discussion. We'll talk about that and a lot more because Ryan can talk just about anything here on The Tim Jones Show. Happy weekend. Hope you're having a great one. It's October the 15th, believe it or not. Here at FM News Talk 97.1, we've got Ryan Johnson up next.
The Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1.
It wasn't easy starting my own business, but when it came to my internet and phone service, Spectrum Business was a no-brainer.
That's because Spectrum Business delivers the fastest internet starting speeds for less. 100 megs for just $44.99 a month when bundled. Call 888-845-8349.
Spectrum Business had the best deal for me. It was clear and simple and didn't require a contract.
With Spectrum Business Voice, there are no hidden fees, no added taxes, just unlimited local and long-distance calling for just $29.99 a month, and no contracts.
Who wants to sign a contract when you're just getting going?
So don't settle for less than the best for your business. Call Spectrum Business and get 100 meg internet for only $44.99 a month when bundled with voice for just $29.99 a month, and no contracts. Call 888-845-8349 today. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Life moves fast. You just have to keep pace. Luckily for you, Jaguar St. Louis has just the thing. The new 2018 Jaguar F-Pace. This is not your ordinary SUV. Offering versatility and luxury with unprecedented sport performance. It's a beast all its own. Lease it today for just $5.99 a month at Jaguar St. Louis, a Plaza Motor Company in Creve Coeur and JaguarSt.Louis.com. $29.99 down, $5.99 lease for 39 months plus taxes and fees, 10,000 miles per year. Call 314-301-1700 for details.
Gravity is only a suggestion. Physics is just a theory. Impossible is merely an opinion. Monster Jam! Celebrating 25 years of adrenaline-charged family entertainment and selling out stadiums across the country. Tickets are on sale now. Monster Jam returns with 2 huge shows coming to the Dome at America Center March 3rd and 4th. Don't miss out. Lock in your seats today. For tickets and show details, visit monsterjam.com today.
The Genucel giveaway continues. Hey, the folks at Chamonix need to empty their warehouses, so order now. You'll get double your Genucel order free. Genucel is a natural plant stem cell treatment with advanced peptides for those pesky bags and puffiness under the eyes. And with Genucel's immediate effects, you'll see amazing results in about 12 hours. Call now. Get double your order of Genucel free. Genucel's backed by the best customer service in the business and an ironclad 60-day money-back guarantee. And if you call now, you'll get a 2-month supply of the legendary Deep Firming Serum, also free. Call in the next 20 minutes and get a free 2-month supply of Esotique RF, Chamonix's most popular wrinkle treatment free. That's your 4th free gift. Call 800-525-8345 or go to Genucel.com. Double up on Genucel. Get the Deep Firming Serum and Esotique, all free while supplies last. Limited time offer. Order now, and shipping is also free. 800-525-8345. 800-525-8345. That's 800-525-8345.
KFTK FM, Florissant, KFTK AM East St. Louis, K254CR St. Louis.
Powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
FM News Talk 97.1.
Sending a message on Iran and healthcare. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. The Trump administration's Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and Ambassador to the UN all supporting the president's latest moves on Iran.
All 3 hit the Sunday shows today to defend President Trump's decision to decertify the Iran nuclear deal. But they were also emphatic that decertification does not mean pulling out of the deal entirely. But the Trump administration is really hoping that by kicking the can to Congress, that this is going to give Congress an opportunity to fix the flaws in this deal.
Fox's Kristen Fisher in Washington, and members of Congress now at odds again over health care.
Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, on Fox News Sunday.
This is the equivalent of healthcare arson. He is literally setting the entire healthcare system on fire just because the president is upset that the United States Congress won't pass a repeal bill.
But many Republicans say the subsidies are illegal because Congress never laid out money for them.
That's Fox's Caroline Shriver Shively, reporting from Washington. A positive development for one fire-ravaged part of Northern California. An evacuation advisory has now been lifted within the city limits of Napa, right in the middle of wine country. That word coming as residents return to survey the damage and crews look for those who may have been killed.
The search for victims continues through communities that have been destroyed, garage doors crushed, cars that have been charred, and we're not talking about a handful of homes. Instead, we're talking about entire neighborhoods that have been burned to the ground, more than 5,700 homes and businesses.
Fox's Will Carr in Napa, the fire leaving at least 40 people dead. British police investigating new allegations of sexual assault against film producer Harvey Weinstein. London's Metro Police Force saying the same woman was the victim of assaults that allegedly took place in 2010, 2011, and also 2015. You're listening to Fox News, fair and balanced.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official FM News Talk 97.1 Weather Center forecast. Increasing clouds, breezy tonight. A couple of strong thunderstorms late can bring damaging winds, a low of 55. An early morning shower tomorrow, otherwise turning breezy and much cooler with clouds giving way to some sunshine, a high of just 61. Clear and cooler tomorrow night, a low down all the way to 43. Will gradually turn warmer starting Monday with plenty of sunshine, an afternoon high of 67. I'm meteorologist Steve Travis for FM News Talk 97.1.
A big enough company to get the job done, but small enough to care. That is the essence of Aphrodite Granite. Aphrodite is the third-generation name and oldest in the granite industry in St. Louis. And you're thumbing through a magazine and you like the look of some granite, but it looks complicated. Aphrodite Granite can get the job done. 4 locations throughout the St. Louis area. These guys are experts in their field, and they'll do any kind of job you want. They have the expertise. AphroditeGranite.com.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. TJ Williams from the Institute of Natural Health. I would like to invite you to tune in to our show Wellness 101 Sundays at 3 p.m. During this exciting hour, we will be diving into the health topics that you want to know about. We will be talking about your concerns and giving real-life examples of ways people can heal and the transformations we have seen with our clients. So tune in to Wellness 101 Sundays at 3, where we will cut through the nonsense to provide you common sense, science-based strategies for a healthy life. That's Wellness 101 Sundays at 3. And you can find us online at theinstituteofnaturalhealth.com.
My name is Ruth Rusi. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old, and this is how I live united. I say retired, but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child. And believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusi. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Curtis Stone. You name a dish, and I've prepared it thousands of times. But even I can't cook enough to feed all of the 17 million kids in America who are struggling with hunger. That's where the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks comes in. They gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. We call them food angels, and you can be one too. Earn your wings at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's 6:42 p.m. Time for Steve Plato and his son Dylan to do the dishes. They talk about everything from the yuckiness of girls to the awesomeness of his soccer team. Sometimes they don't talk at all. Then, hey! The dreaded splash fight. It's Dad O'Clock, and it's the best time of the day. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
AARP in St. Louis is proud to present the 54th annual Moonlight Ramble Bike Ride, Saturday, October 21st. Join us for an evening of fun as thousands of bicyclists take over the streets of St. Louis under the light of the moon. The pre-party begins at 9 with live music, vendors, and best costume and bike lights contest with cash prizes. It's the Moonlight Ramble Bike Ride, Saturday, October 21st. More info and register now at moonlightramble.com. Brought to you by AARP in St. Louis, Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety, The Smile Generation, Weber Chevrolet, and Blue Moon. The Tim Jones Show.
I inherit nothing from the Democratic Party.
You're spouting this baloney.
It's just typical liberalism.
The Tim Jones Show.
Eat, poop, and die.
You just proved why you left-wing loons are so insane.
This is The Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1.
Never, ever, ever give up.
This hour of The Tim Jones Show is brought to you by Convergent Wealth Management, your lifelong financial advocate. ConvergentWM.com.
Republicans should step up to the plate and confront the fact that this president appears to be unstable, that he appears to be taking us into war, that he has openly obstructed justice in front of our face, and that increasingly we're finding that there are more and more lies about the connection with Russia. I believe that there really has been collusion, and I do think that our special counsel, Mueller, is going to connect those dots. But I think there's enough now that we all know and we all see and we all understand that we should be moving on impeachment.
I love me some Maxine Waters.
We need that, you know what we need to get? We need to get the stinger with, who was it, the A-Team? Who was Mr. T? Oh, he said, I pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
That's what we need to play after we play Maxine. Yeah, I pity the fool. I know I shouldn't make fun of the less fortunate among us, especially those with lower IQs, but folks, she's unhinged. She's unhinged. And you know what? I have no problem making fun of her because she is unhinged, and she says really, really horrible things.
In her
dangerous
position.
Dangerous things. She just blathers on and makes stuff up, and I can't wait for 4 years to pass. I mean, I wonder if she'll stroke out. I mean, because 4 years are going to pass, and Donald Trump's not going to get impeached, and then he's going to get reelected, and Steve Bannon, folks, is going to tell you here in a minute when I play a little Steve Bannon. I may play this when Ryan Johnson comes in next, see what he thinks of this. Steve Bannon is going to tell you how many electoral votes Donald Trump's going to win by in 2020. He's the great prophet has prophesied. So what's going to happen to Maxine Waters and all those left-wing lunatics on my Troll Patrol? We're still working on the T-shirt design. I'm going to have Tim Jones Show Troll Patrol T-shirts. Hashtag. That's what I call my left-wing lunatics who follow me. But you know what?
I thought about this though. You won't be giving them T-shirts.
No, I won't.
Those are for us.
Right,
to
those
wear
for us.
the trolls.
Yes. We'll make like the cute little trolls.
Yeah.
Remember the little trolls with the purple hair
with their eyes looking just above the table.
Yes. What's going to happen to poor Maxine when Donald Trump does not get impeached over the next 4 years, when he gets reelected in 2020, and he goes down in history as one of the greatest presidents ever? You know why I say that? And I'm not just saying that to be a Trumpster or to be in the tank for him, but folks, this nation was staring at the very least over the precipice of mediocrity. At the very least. At the very worst, many of the foundational principles and values on which this nation was founded were going to be gone forever, and we would have read about them to our grandkids in history books if the country was still here. Because the left-wing progressives finally got a hold of the White House. Not the Democrats. The Democrats have been in the White House before. The left-wing progressives, the far left-wing progressives, got a hold of the White House. And I don't think that President Obama was malicious. I just think his worldview is extremely different than anybody else's we'd ever had in the White House. And he said, I want to transform America. And so his idea of a great America is, number one, not a great America. We all need to be about the same.
Lead from behind.
Right. We're this community of nations, this globalist idea, no borders, high taxes, less freedoms. Yeah, we could do without a couple of those things, those bothersome things in the Bill of Rights, like the Second Amendment. You know,
no coal.
Right. We're going to run baseload energy off of hamster wheels and sunshine, right? I mean, we were going down the primrose path, and it was bad. It was ugly. Our military, we now know our military was decimated. Dr. Tobler had a great guest on the other day, on Saturday morning. And Dr. Tobler had a guest who talked about how bad the military has fallen. And he had numbers. And it's rough. Now, Trump's going to bring that back. Like, folks, they're literally having to tear down old aircraft to fly the current aircraft. That's how bad things are.
It has to change.
And that's not safe for our men and women who are serving us. Thank you all very much, by the way, for all you do. Anyway. Al wants to take me to task over Trump getting reelected. Al, welcome to the Tim Jones Show. Thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, you are a Trumpster, a late Trumpster, by the way. But what evidence do you have that he will possibly get reelected in 2020 when he's shedding voters? He has a core of 30%, and it hasn't risen. And with all of the turmoil of this administration, you can't tell me he's not losing voters who voted for him last time, who will not vote for him this
Hey, Al, you know why I know you're wrong? You know why I know you're wrong? Because you're the same. Because you're the same Al that called me before the election and said, "Huh, Tim Jones,
You're a liar because
Donald
my name
Trump."
Is not Al, and I never told him my name was Al.
What's
so
your name?
Lie that you told.
What's your name then, sir?
This is Damon.
Damon, yes, Damon. Damon's back. Woo-hoo! We know Damon.
Right, so you just
Damon.
bypass the lie. You just told.
Damon, you're the same Damon
So
that
you
called
just
me. Damon, you're the same Damon that called me before the election and said Donald Trump would never, ever, ever get elected. So, Damon.
The lies
Okay, Damon.
would definitely get you thrown out.
Hey, Damon, you done yapping your yapper yet? You want to shut up for a minute and listen to me?
On me?
You want to listen, Damon? You want to listen to some truth?
If you quit lying about me, sure.
Damon, you called me before the election and said Donald Trump would never get elected.
Representative, that's a lie.
Okay, Damon, so let me ask you. Let me ask you, Damon, did you know? Let me ask you this then. Did you know Donald Trump was going to get elected? Did you know that, Damon?
Did you know?
Did you?
Did you?
Hey, Damon, this is the Tim Jones Show. I asked the questions.
I don't care. You ask me that stupid question, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Hey, Damon, you're a hoot, brother. Let me tell you. Hey, Damon, you like the Dow being...
Did you know that he was going to be elected? No,
I did.
You were a
yes, I did.
At first.
No, I wasn't. You're wrong. You're a liar. Now you're a liar.
Okay,
hey, Damon.
You lied
hey,
before,
Damon.
then.
Hey, Damon. Can I ask you a question, Damon? Are you done yet, Damon? No, Damon. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you done?
Hey, Damon. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead. It's the Damon Show, folks. Go ahead, Damon. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then quit lying and misrepresenting what I say. Can you do that? Or do you have to misrepresent my say so you can have some type of ratings for your show?
Damon, you're so awesome. You're the best Damon ever. Okay, Damon, make a point now because you're using up valuable airtime and people are getting sick of listening to you.
What evidence do you have that shows that President Trump has a snowball chance in hell of getting reelected when all he has is his core?
The same
it's
evidence.
The whole reason that
okay,
people voted
Damon
for
just
him
wants to
give
yap.
him the benefit
Damon
of the
wants
doubt
to. Damon just wants to keep talking. Damon just wants to keep talking and talking and talking. Damon just wants to keep talking so he can hear himself talk because Damon thinks he's the smartest guy ever.
Go ahead.
Okay, Damon, I'll tell you why. Because you left-wing lunatics will be just as wrong about 2020 as you were about 2016. You were wrong, Damon, and you're going to be wrong again. Get with the program, Damon. This country is finally going back.
That's all you have. So you were wrong once before.
I was never wrong.
Obama was going to get elected.
Hey, Damon.
He got elected twice.
Damon, guess
so
what?
What? You have no more validity?
Hey, Damon.
Dumb.
Hey, Damon, who's going to take him on in 2020? The Nutty Professor? Pretend Pocahontas? The Clinton crime
it really
cartel?
Doesn't matter. He's not going to win.
Hey, Damon, call me back again and eat some more crow when Donald Trump is reelected in 2020. Damon, you have a great night, brother.
For the most part, like you think I voted for Hillary or something. No, I didn't vote for Hillary.
Who'd you vote for? Who'd you vote for?
To be quite honest, we're getting exactly what this country
Who did you vote for?
If we were stupid enough to have enough people to elect this jerk as president,
Damon.
This country gets exactly what it deserves.
Damon, have a great night, brother. All right. Damon can't answer questions. He just wants a demagogue. John, welcome to the Tim Jones Show.
Well, it's kind of crazy that Damon would call in while I was trying to say I'm so happy that you're on Sunday night. You're right on the mark. And
John, thanks so much for saving me.
During the week on Jamie's show, Mark Cox show, Does that dude have a job?
Damon?
He's around the clock.
John, I got it. You know what, John? You make a great point. I've wondered that often. Let me tell you, folks, there's a lot of people that have to live their lives like you, John, and work really hard and raise a family, and I'm guessing you're probably doing some or all these things.
You're right on the mark.
Okay, so Damon is very likely what's called a seminar caller. They're very well known in the industry, John. They're actually paid by some outfit, some Soros-funded outfit, and they get paid to troll conservative talk radio and call in. Because you're right, John. Because, John, would a normal... I don't know if there are normal left-wing progressives, but
right.
would a normal Democrat or person on the left, would they monitor this station like Damon does? Tobler, Cox, Jones, Annie Fry, Allman, and would they call in as much? I don't know. Maybe Damon is a masochist and he just likes hearing, making his ears bleed. But anyway, John. And John, here's the problem with Damon. I like to have a conversation with my callers like I'm having with you, and then I like to make a point and then let them talk. Damon just likes to just yell and scream and talk over everybody, and it's just not good radio.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I really appreciate it, what you do. And I tell you what, thank God Trump did get elected, because you'd think we'd have heard about this guy with all the guy from Hollywood. That had never came out if Trump wasn't president. If Hillary was president, no one had the nerve. The guy Weinstein, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, if Trump wasn't president, I don't think we'd be hearing about that. It's just crazy, everything that, I don't know. It's just a crazy world we live in, and I wonder if we got to give more money to Iran not to have nukes. I mean, it's just crazy. How can you like Obama? My God, he gave them all that money up front, and they don't. I mean, what kind of deal is that?
Yeah. So, John, hey, were you a Trump fan early, in the middle, late? When did you?
Okay, here's what I was.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
Okay.
I was so sick of the politicians. I wanted anybody but a politician. I really did like Ben Carson, but it came perfectly clear to me after the first debate that wasn't going to be his gig. In the first debate, I looked at Trump, and I had a friend of mine said, "You know what? If we got to elect a celebrity just to keep Hillary out, I'm in." And that's basically when I changed. But his policies and what he's done for the evangelicals, and I'm a Catholic, but what he's done more than what we anticipated. I mean, gosh, the Supreme Court, which was the two words, the most important thing to me. And I'm just saying, he has not disappointed me at all. We do cringe sometimes, some of the things he says on Twitter. You're like SOBs with the NFL, although he's right on the money with them too. But I would have preferred he didn't word it that way. But you know what? He's not a politician.
Right. And
that's
John,
why we elected him.
and John, you made a good point. When you focus on the policies that the man has accomplished and promoted, it's hard to argue that they're not good for the country.
Great. Well, hey, I'm going to let you go.
Hey,
and
thanks, John.
Thanks for letting me talk to you, and thanks for being on the air for us. I know you got to be busy like Jamie, but man, I tell you what, I really, really appreciate when you fill in for Jamie, and got a great show.
Well, thank you so much, John. I appreciate you as well. Hey, you have a great night. That was a breath of fresh air after Damon.
Sure was.
I mean, see, that's a conversation. I hope Damon is still listening. He might be, because he trolls this. And I'm sorry, folks, if you never heard Damon before. He's made Jamie lose his mind. He's made Tolbert lose his mind. He's made me lose my mind a number of times. And it's just I don't get it. So, Ken, do I have time to jump on Rebecca here and take her call? So Rebecca wants to weigh in on our favorite person.
I love her.
Hey, Rebecca, welcome to the Tim Jones Show.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for the show. You know, I caught the end of what Maxine said. Bless her heart. I said out loud to myself, has she lost her mind?
I think a long time ago, Rebecca.
You know, here's the thing. Can you imagine, and I'm saying this over the air, and I'm saying it so everybody can hear it. I'm just a regular person out here schlepping every day, making my living. But if anybody would have ever even opened their mouth and said out loud to impeach President Obama, the world would have flipped upside down.
Oh, you're right about that. They would have locked every Republican up for that statement, whether anybody said it or thought it or not. But you're right. And so, isn't it amazing how Rebecca, Trump didn't even get his inauguration day before some of these people absolutely lost their skulls.
But yet President Obama was allowed to redesign the whole United States via executive order. And I think, though, that I'm not fond of executive orders at all, and I don't care if it's this president or whomever. But the bottom line, as far as I see it, is he transformed the whole United States to make it just what he wanted it to be and what the ultra-liberals wanted it to be. And we people who were conservative were over here rolling and cringing and dying every day from what he was doing to our United States and trying to tear the place down bit by bit, taking his little self all over. God bless his soul, because he was our president. I honor him as that. Mm-hmm. But he took himself all over the world and told everybody we were a bunch of schmucks. And I'm so thankful that even though I don't agree with everything President Trump says, I'm thankful that at least he leans in the conservative direction, and perhaps we can teach him to lean a little better.
Rebecca, I could not say it better myself, so we'll leave it right there. Rebecca, thanks so much for listening to the show. Really appreciate it. Well, how about that? 2-1
there you go.
To Damon. So I think that's 66 2/3% for Donald Trump. So there you go. There's my unscientific poll. There you go. So that's how much he gets reelected by, Damon.
Very good.
I probably just made Damon stroke out. So, hey, this is Tim Jones. This is the Tim Jones Show. Boy, are we having fun now. Ryan Johnson up next. We're going to talk a little public sector union reform. The Supreme Court has the case in their hands. Ryan Johnson's going to break it down and what it means for us.
The Tim Jones Show.
He's in bed with Putin and the Russians about oil.
On FM News Talk 97.1.
Very topical. The national, international news.
Keeping you informed and up to date.
U.S. news, world news, everything.
Still considered my local news.
St. Louis is home of Fox News.
Get my news quickly, and it's much easier to get it
on the radio.
FM News Talk 97.1.
I built this business, watched it grow. Seen my internet bill from AT&T kept growing too. Then I heard Spectrum Business would help buy out my contract. That's different.
That's because with Spectrum Business, you don't have to sign a contract to get our best price. 100 meg internet for just $44.99 a month when bundled. Call 888-845-8349.
Glad I switched. Now I'm paying a lot less and getting better internet and phone service.
And with Spectrum Business Voice, you get unlimited calling for only $29.99 a month. No taxes, no hidden fees, and no contracts. So don't get stuck paying for overpriced service. Spectrum Business will buy out your contract so you can save with 100 meg internet for only $44.99 a month when bundled with voice for $29.99 a month. No taxes, no hidden fees, and no contracts. Call 888-845-8349. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Hey, Tim Jones here for Universal Windows Direct. You've heard me talking about all the perks of buying your windows from the guys at Universal Windows Direct. But maybe what you don't know about is that they have many other ways to make your home beautiful as well besides windows. The windows are awesome. They're great. They're fantastic. But you've got a variety of products with Universal Windows Direct. Windows siding, doors, gutters, roofing, attic insulation, and more. You can finally have a home that looks like what you've been dreaming about. And folks, the cold weather's coming. Winter's coming, as they say on Game of Thrones. This week, buy one window, get the next window free. There's no limits. That's right. Every window you buy, you get the next one free. 0% financing for 36 months and free installation. 314-547-2600, universalwindowsstlouis.com. That's universalwindowsstlouis.com. Call now to schedule your free in-home estimate today. You can't beat this offer. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Radio moves. Radio breathes. Radio never sleeps. And Next Radio keeps up. It goes where you go, so you never miss a beat. It's live, it's local, it's a connection. A shared experience, just you and your radio. And a couple million people, give or take. Next Radio keeps up. You thought that phone couldn't get any smarter? Well, it got simpler. It got leaner. It's got your back. And it'll keep you moving, winning, in the know. And it'll get you where you want to go. All in the palm of your hand. Next Radio, live and local, wherever you go.
Listen to your favorite FM stations with the free Next Radio app. Live and local, wherever you go. Download the free Next Radio app today.
Hey
Hi, guys. Clever here for my friends at the All Financial Group. So if you're listening, I recently turned 53. That's one of those kind of scary ages, financially anyway, because who knows? Who knows how much more time I can do this or whatever it is that you do? Who knows if I've saved enough? I'm one of those people, I look at financial guys like I do a dentist. I know I need them, but I'm afraid of them. Even if I'm afraid there's something wrong, I don't want to know what it is. So if you're like me, you can go to Steve and Mel at the All Financial Group. They will give you honest answers about where you really stand for retirement, even if it means that you might need to consider a few changes to make sure that you're ready. But Steve tells me that more often than not, people turn out to be much better prepared than they thought they were, and that's certainly a nice surprise. So start getting answers today about where you stand. Call the All Financial Group right now at 636-230-8824. Mention my name, Dave Glover, and they'll do a full-blown retirement analysis for you at no charge. 636-230-8824. Or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Moment of crisis. An important moment.
Begging for war.
Hear about it?
This is not a little matter. We should all take a moment. Seize the moment.
Talk about it.
You know, it's always amazing to me how phony the liberals are. You can tell their outrage about this is phony.
St. Louis's FM News Talk.
That is why we are here.
This is a moment in time, a moment in history. This is the moment. I'll say it right now.
FM News Talk.
The urgency is now.
Could strike at any moment.
97.1.
This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
I'm willing to move on, but I just want to be clear. You still haven't denied that you called him a moron. And, you know, a lot of people are going to watch this and think he probably said it.
I'm not dignifying the question with an answer, Jake. And I'm a little surprised you want to spend so much time on it when there's so many important issues around the world.
Gotta love the big Texan Rex Tillerson. He didn't play that game, as he said. We got a big Missourian. Got a big Missourian in the studio right now. Ryan Johnson just busted the door down and said, I'm going to be on the air next. And I said, okay. Ryan Johnson joins us now, longtime conservative activist, he is the principal for Exemplar Public Affairs. He's the co-founder and former president of the Missouri Alliance for Freedom. You've heard him on these airways before. He took a little break. Well, he's on the other side of the state, so it takes a lot for us to get him back over it. But he's been on the Allman Report. He's been on Allman in the Morning. I think Ryan, you were on once or twice when I was filling in for Jamie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Good
so, Ryan, welcome back to St. Louis.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love being here.
Absolutely. So, Ryan, isn't Rex Tillerson right? I mean, how that was the end of a 4-minute clip where Jake Tapper asked him 3 separate times, "Oh, come on!" It's like a kid in a schoolyard. "Oh, come on, man! Tell me, just between you and me, you called him a moron, right?" I mean, Rex Tillerson has just returned from traveling halfway around the world, dealing with a nuclear-mad dictator in North Korea, a host of other things that are going on. I mean, pick a topic, Jake. We could talk the Iranian nuclear deal. We could talk North Korea. We could talk terrorism and just about any part of the world. And he wants to talk about whether or not he called him a moron 3 weeks ago.
Incredible, isn't it? I think I tweeted something about this when this happened. I mean, you look and you outlined it perfectly. I mean, you have everything from the nuclear threat from North Korea, and we are actually talking about the threat of nuclear war for the first time since, really I was a kid back in the 80s. I remember, living with that, growing up with that as you did. And then it seemed like it went away with the peace dividend and the collapse of the Soviet Union and all those things. And here we are now, once again, facing a very realistic possibility of potential nuclear war, and that's a pretty significant issue.
It really is.
You have the Iranian threat, and you have Russia, you have China, you have these multitude of threats, real, viable, existential threats to the United States of America, and they really want to pit the President of the United States against his Secretary of State about whether or not he may or may not have called him a moron offline somewhere. It's ridiculous, and it just cheapens our politics, and it takes us all the way back to junior high school.
That's right. And let's assume for the moment that we had a time machine and you and I could have been in the room, and we saw that didn't happen. So let's say Rex Tillerson, because the media wants to imply, because he won't answer the question, it did happen. Well, the opposite is also true. If it didn't happen, Tillerson is still not going to answer their question, right? Because these are not the things, because then it's going to be something else. So what did the president say to you about this? So what did he say about that? Did he say this? Did he say this about so-and-so? Oh my gosh, the media would rather chase all the shiny objects about who called who, what, when, rather than talk about these tough issues of our time that the president is actually working on every day, whether it's putting coal miners back to work in West Virginia and Kentucky, whether it's trying to do something with this morass of a mess of Obamacare, whether it's dealing with putting good Supreme Court justices on the bench, which we're going to talk about in a second, with Neil Gorsuch. They'd rather talk about the playground politics.
That's right. That's right. It's disheartening, but I don't think the American public is surprised by it at all.
Okay.
If they watch, MSNBC, and sometimes I actually will force myself to watch.
Got to see what the enemy's doing.
See what the other side's doing, or just listen to the nightly news for quiet. I mean, it is evident that they are solely focused on making sure that he either does not finish his first term as president of the United States. I think that they have dreams about him being impeached. That's evident. That they're hoping that the Mueller investigation actually comes of something that is an impeachable offense. They are, on the long shot spectrum, they are hoping that he doesn't win re-election. And I quite frankly think that he will be reelected. I think that he'll be reelected with a decent margin, just like he was elected the first time. So it's sad to see that they are so focused on the failure of this presidency that they almost will accept the failure of our country.
Right. And versus, like you say, and maybe pun intended here, versus making America great again.
Right.
So,
right. or just protecting America from its threats.
Right.
I mean,
right. Exactly. Ryan, let's
They're just not going to nuke Republicans, right? I mean,
exactly.
North Korea wants to kill all of us.
Nuclear bombs are not discriminating.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Ryan, let's talk about the Supreme Court. What a different Supreme Court it is now versus a year ago, because Judge Neil Gorsuch is on the bench, and he's going to hear a very important case this term, isn't he? And Ryan, you and I fought the right to work battle here in Missouri. That battle apparently is going to continue to go on forever because everyone's going to keep going to the ballot box on it until that's settled. But that was for the trade unions. And what you're going to explain to us is there's a totally different body of law that deals with public sector unions. So first of all, what do we mean when we say public sector government unions?
Sure. So public sector unions are like your AFSCME, your American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, AFSCME for short, and several other bargaining units as well. These are your teachers' unions, your firefighters' unions, your police officers' unions, and then all the bureaucrats in Jefferson City, as an example, would fall under the moniker of government unions. And the law in the state of Missouri right now doesn't...
All of whom totally get paid by us.
By taxpayers.
By us, the taxpayers. Yes.
So if you imagine this, what happens is you and I, the Missouri taxpayer, fund their salary. And then the unions automatically deduct, and in many cases forcibly deduct, their union dues. Or even if they don't want to be a member of the union per se, the union will still forcibly deduct what they cleverly refer to as agency fees. And these are apparently the agency fees are to cover the expense of the union for negotiating and bargaining their union contract, because they're forced to be a member of this union. And so even if they try to opt out, the agency fees will still apply. So,
and Ryan, how about what do they do with all these fees? Maybe you were going to get to that, but maybe let's get to the crux of the questions. Okay, so why do we care, right? So where do all these fees go?
That's a great question, and the fact is we don't know. We should know. Unfortunately, there are not reporting mechanisms in the state of Missouri that would force transparency in this space so that not only you and I would know, and not only the average Missouri taxpayer, but also government union membership has little to no idea about how union leadership is spending their money. However, we do know for a fact that an inordinate amount of that money is spent on politics.
Because we see it.
And policies.
Because thankfully it gets reported.
We see it.
Yes.
So we know that AFSCME spends a lot of money on politics, not only in Missouri, not only in Illinois, but around the country. So we're not suggesting that the unions don't provide some value to their membership. But if you take, for instance, the possibility that your average union dues are $40 a paycheck and you get paid every 2 weeks, that's about $1,000 every year. And if you think like a union typically does, that's $2,000 every election cycle. Now, again, we're not
per employee.
Per employee. Now,
so we're talking millions of dollars of automatic money.
Millions upon millions.
Okay.
Now, imagine if you're a teacher and you make $40,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year, and you're essentially on the hook for a max check every single election cycle. Maybe a third of that probably goes to maybe actual member services, but the vast majority of that is spent on political candidates and causes that the average teacher, the average cop, the average firefighter, and the average even government union worker doesn't agree with, and you and I certainly don't agree with.
Absolutely.
And they have this automatic just siphon that takes the money right out and puts it right into the political pipeline.
So, Ryan, we got a couple minutes left for this break, so let's just tee up what this case is that could change this whole Pandora's box, let's call it, this whole Bernie Madoff scheme that basically these union bosses have. What is the case before the Supreme Court this term?
So Mark Janis is an employee of the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services, and he's fighting for what he believes are a violation of his First Amendment rights.
So a union employee brought this case.
A government union employee in Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, mind you.
Surprised he hasn't been run out of town on a rail. Yeah.
I know, right? So he has brought suit, and he has said that his First Amendment rights are being violated. He does not want to have to pay these agency fees. He believes that the money is being used in ways to support those political causes and candidates that he disagrees with, and he doesn't feel well served by his union. He doesn't want to have to be on the hook for the money, and he says, I shouldn't have to. The unions say, oh, yes, you do. And so now it's before the Supreme Court.
Wow. Ryan, when we come back, let's talk about, we'll have you speculate a little bit about what you think the current makeup of the court might do with this case. And there's a lot of things they could do, right? They could rule for, they could rule against, they could punt, they could do all sorts of things. So based on what we know about this court so far, we'll talk a little bit about, we'll prognosticate a little bit, and then we'll talk about what happens if they do happen to rule for Mr. Janis. What would that mean to this whole spidery web of influence and power that government labor bosses have in this country? All that and more on the Tim Jones Show. We'll come back, and we got your calls too, Linda, and I think it's Jose, possibly. Hang on. We'll try to get to you right when we come back, and then we'll go back to Ryan Johnson, who's here to talk about a very interesting case before our Supreme Court, coming up next on the Tim Jones Show.
This is the Tim Jones Show.
These Trump fans, they're hardcore.
On FM News Talk 97.1. This year, the DTS Halloween Show heads to the Mineral Springs Hotel in Alton, Illinois, and we need a few listeners to help us with this paranormal investigation. If you think you're up for it, go to 971talk.com/Halloween and tell us why you should join us for the show. Brought to you by the Wentzville Bluffs.
If you're retiring in the next 5 years, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, First Vice President Investments with Stifel and host of On the Money, heard every Saturday from 11 till noon on FM News Talk 97.1. Retirement is a huge step, and when it comes to investing your retirement assets, you can't afford to make mistakes. It's vitally important that you work with an experienced professional to guide you through important retirement decisions. If you're retiring soon, we should meet to develop a clear plan for your retirement goals. Your meeting is an opportunity to understand your retirement situation and discuss how you can proceed. Of course, your consultation is free of charge and requires no obligation on your part. If you're retiring in the next 5 years, now is the time to start planning. To schedule your free retirement plan review, visit bobstockdale.com or call me at 636-448-7655. That's bobstockdale.com or 636-448-7655. Stifel, member FINRA, SIPC, and NYSE.
If you're thinking about a new car, get ready, because this is the event you've been waiting for.
It's Suntrup Hyundai's Race to 300 sales event.
We're on a mission to sell 300 new Hyundais, and you're the winner.
Now till the end of the month, get to Suntrup Hyundai for red hot savings on a new 2017 Elantra. Lease for $195 a month with $17 down, or buy it for $15,444.
At Suntrup Hyundai, we have the biggest inventory and we have the biggest savings.
Suntrup Hyundai makes it easy to get into a new Hyundai with a Hyundai Assurance Plan. America's best warranty, 10 years, 100 300,000-mile powertrain.
If you make $350 a week, we're here to get you a great car at a great rate.
It's Suntrup Hyundai's Race to 300 sales event.
It only happens once a year, so get in here and...
Trade up at Suntrup.
Approved credit 36-month lease. Elantra stock number H1520H. Financing through Hyundai Motor Finance. Negative equity applied to new loan. Payments include all available factory rebate offers on a combination.
Race into Suntrup Hyundai. We have 2 locations, the largest inventory, and we sell the most. Shop online 24/7 at SuntruPHyundai.com.
Kubota's Orange Opportunity Sales event is going on now. Take on the tough jobs in a powerful Kubota Standard L Series. With the right combination of dependable horsepower and ease of operation, they're perfect for the independent property owner. Now get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 84 months, plus great customer instant rebates and a 6-year warranty. Now through December 31st, 2017. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Visit MissouriKubotaDealers.com or IllinoisKubotaDealers.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for Brook Linen. Chances are that you have either purchased sheets and linens in the past and have been confused or maybe even defensive about it because it seems like they're trying to take advantage of you with thread counts and this kind of cotton and that kind of cotton. So 2 very normal people, not in the business, Vicky and Rich, spent the night a few years ago at a hotel, loved the bedding, tried to buy a set, and they said, sure, it's $800. So they went and researched this business and found that you're pretty much being taken advantage of just like you thought. I recently received a complete set of Brook Linen sheets. They're on my bed. I absolutely love them. Brooklinen.com has an exclusive offer to just my listeners. Get $20 off and free shipping when you use promo code Glover at brooklinen.com. In fact, they're so confident that you're going to love the new sheets that they will offer you a risk-free 60-night satisfaction guarantee and a lifetime warranty on all of their sheets. So for $20 off and free shipping, use promo code Glover at brooklinen.com.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
What kind of news organization is this?
Mark Levin.
They're more curious about some guy on Reddit who may be 15 years old.
Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
Posting a video, which they don't like.
Mark Levin. Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
On FM News Talk
97.1.
This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
Populist, nationalist, conservative revolt that's going on that drove Donald Trump to victory, that drove Judge Moore to victory, that will drive 15 candidates to victory in 2018. And well, and I hate to break the news to Graydon Carter and the good folks at Vanity Fair. But yes, President Trump's not only going to finish this term, he's going to win with 400 electoral votes in 2020.
The Dark Lord himself, Steve Bannon, predicting what Ryan Johnson already knew, that Donald Trump's going to get reelected. So,
that's right.
I don't know if he'll get 400 electoral votes, and that's what Damon doesn't get, is everything Bannon just said. Damon's missing not just Trump's election, but Trump. In the era of Trump, he hasn't lost any major election yet. All these special elections that the Democrats were trying to flip in some of these congressional districts, they're 0 for 4, 0 for 5. Roy Moore is actually a victory, I think, for Trump. I think he's going to be much closer to Trump than Luther Strange would have been.
That's a Trump-like candidate, isn't it?
I mean, it sure is. It sure is. So let me blow through some phone calls real fast here because these folks have been waiting very patiently. Linda, good evening. Welcome to the Tim Jones Show.
Hi, Tim. Thank you. I'm just curious. I've never really heard anybody discuss the history of government public unions. Was there a certain administration that brought them in? I thought I remember hearing something about FDR saying you never want to unionize government workers or something. And I've never heard the history of it, so I was curious about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Ryan, do you know about the history? Because Linda's right. they kind of come into our consciousness in a major way probably over the last decade or so. So, and I think Linda's right. There was a quote from like FDR of all people saying, look, I'm all for the unions and the Teamsters and the carpenters and all that, but you never want to unionize government. And apparently that's happened.
That's absolutely right. No, she makes a good point. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, former president of the United States, was adamantly against the idea of public sector unions and the idea that they could then just perpetuate themselves. And that's quite frankly what's happened. They've taken a lot of taxpayer dollars in as dues. They then spend that to elect politicians who support government unions, and it becomes self-perpetuating. And, of course, they elect politicians that are supportive of bigger government. So in the state of Missouri, as an example, though, government unions didn't really become a thing until the 1960s. So they came into be. We have statute that deals with that dating back to that time frame. There's been really no significant reform to it since then. So I want to just as an illustration, I'm 42 years old. Okay. I was born in 1975. Let's say that I was a government worker and by virtue of that fact would have to be a government union employee. My union contract was probably negotiated in the 1970s.
Wow.
Maybe 40 years ago, maybe more, maybe back to the 60s, just depending on the bargaining unit. And I would still be operating under that contract today. There has been legislation filed the last few years here in Missouri. It'll be filed again, I think, by Senator Bob Onder of St. Charles County. Has been the primary sponsor and really the lead on this.
Yes, Act 10, like Governor Scott Walker did.
Very similar.
Yes.
And this would allow whole bargaining units to come together, let's say every year, every 2 years. Hasn't passed yet, so that's up in the air. But they would come together and they would vote whether or not to retain, to recertify those who represent them, or to decertify, quite frankly. The other part of his bill enforces that transparency component that you and I talked about earlier, which would then allow the Missouri taxpayer to know how those monies are being spent, i.e. how much is really being spent on politics.
Okay. So I think Linda dropped, but Linda, that was a great question. Hopefully we've answered it. Thanks for listening to the Tim Jones Show. And I think that's why we have people like Ryan in here. So Tracy wants to make a comment about teachers' unions. Tracy, welcome to the Tim Jones Show.
Hello. I was just listening, and I wanted to clear something up. Never in my experience have I, as a teacher, been forced to join a union.
Okay.
I've been in 2 different districts, and whenever we sign up, our dues does not go to political action. That's a separate. Actually, it's a separate, I guess, box that you check and you indicate how much you want to put towards political action. And our dues money goes towards basically our insurance should something bizarre happen and we're being thrust with a lawsuit that we have a $1 to $2 million legal defense that has educational experience on hand for us. And in addition, the monies then also pay for the overhead of offices and the directors for Missouri NEA. But when I was listening, because I listen to 87.1, agree with a lot, but I had to call in and say that's never been my experience at all.
Okay, and Tracy, every state is, just so you know, every state has their own rules, and a lot of Illinois is very different from Missouri, and so that's where this current Supreme Court case came from. But you actually raised a few points. Let me ask Ryan about some of that, and thanks so much for calling the show. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Yeah, and Tracy makes a good point, Ryan. I don't think anything in this case, in the court's decision is going to, if you want it, Tracy likes her union.
Right.
So she can still be a member, right?
She can. And in Missouri, teachers are treated a little bit differently.
And we should point that out, folks. Ryan and I, neither one of us wants to paint a... Teachers' unions are different from the firefighters' unions, are different from the AFSCME unions. Much different than the government employee unions, are different from the carpenters, the Teamsters. Now we're mixing apples and oranges because the last few I mentioned are considered private sector trade unions. So Ryan, if Tracy likes her teachers' unions, and you and I are not here to say that all unions are bad.
That's right.
We're flipping it around. We want the individual to make that choice for themselves. So for Tracy, let's say the Janus decision goes for Mr. Janus, and he does not have to either. And maybe Illinois is different. Maybe that's required that he join the union, but his dues aren't going to be forced from him for political purposes he doesn't agree with.
Right. So Missouri is a little bit different. It's actually been said that Missouri's current public sector union members already have, quote unquote, right to work.
Okay,
even
the
though
right to join the union or not.
Privates don't.
Okay.
And teachers are a little bit different. And those things and the ability to opt out will be mentioned, should be mentioned in each bargaining unit's contract, which is typically held by the Office of Administration at the state level. However, that's going to be different for teachers unions because their school districts are really the repository or the custodians of those records and bargaining agreements. Most teachers in Missouri will have a choice to join either MSTA or MNEA.
So you even have a choice of unions in Missouri.
That's right,
Okay.
mostly. But that doesn't apply in all the states. So
That's
when we're
correct.
talking about this Janus case, it's going to have national implications, especially in states with a little bit worse public sector law. Like Illinois.
It may
than
not have
Missouri
a whole.
has.
It may
But
not have a
Missouri
whole lot of
has
effect here, right? It may have a
lot
little
of room for reform.
Right.
A lot of room for reform. And the notion that teachers unions, excuse me, don't spend a lot of money in the political arena is just false. I mean,
and
it is
I can tell
patently wrong on its face.
Yeah.
Teachers unions spend an inordinate amount of money on politics, and you remember this from your time in the legislature. The single most feared and powerful lobby that I have experienced personally in Jefferson City is the teachers, and not just the teachers, but the education establishment. And so you're talking the everybody from the superintendents to the teachers unions themselves,
Who don't want any education
to the
reform.
administrators,
Right.
who vehemently oppose any kind of ed reform whatsoever. They are very political. I've seen them and heard of them walk into state representatives' offices and threaten to go out and recruit a primary opponent for them. They are very aggressive in the political arena.
Speaking to Ryan Johnson here, the principal of the Exemplar Group, and Ryan, Janus case. Back to the Janus case. What prognosticate a little bit for me? What do you think is going to happen with this newly constituted Supreme Court with the brandly newly minted Justice Gorsuch?
I think this will be a 5-4 decision. Justice Gorsuch will be the deciding factor in this case. I think that we win it. I think that we win it on a 5-4 margin, though. It was going to go a previous case, very similar. Rebecca Friedrichs, a teacher out of California.
A California teacher
had a very similar case.
Sued her union.
That's right. You got it. Justice Scalia died.
Yes.
And then there was a 4-4 decision.
Just got sent back, basically.
And you can you know how that goes.
Stalled out.
So
Ryan, this will have some effect in Missouri if Mr. Janus wins, but where we'll see the most effect is in states like California,
Illinois,
New York, and Illinois, right? Where these government unions just run roughshod over the voters.
And absolutely. And here's the dirty little secret that the unions don't want to say, and that's that the government unions in particular, their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness, and that's their membership. And when members are given a choice and they vote with their feet and they leave the unions, guess who loses their money? And they lose it forever. So when things like that happen in Wisconsin, and then Wisconsin, part of the vaunted blue wall that never goes Republican, goes for Trump in this election, that's why Steve Bannon is predicting a 400 vote margin in the Electoral College, because we're going to keep chipping away at this vaunted blue wall, and we're going to start to retake our country.
We're returning the power back to the people, just like Donald Trump is returning the power back to the Congress on some of these decisions he's making, where it should have been in the first place. Ryan, I'd love to have you comment on a big announcement this week. Our Attorney General, Josh Hawley, announced that he is definitely going to run for the U.S. Senate and take on Claire McCaskill, who squeaked through last time by the skin of her teeth because of some unfortunate comments made by the nominee at that time, Todd Akin. I see Josh Hawley as a different kind of candidate. He is young. He's only been the Attorney General for a year, but he has assembled an incredible coalition from everybody from establishment Republicans to Steve Bannon himself.
That's right. That's right.
So what do you think?
You know, I remember his AG's race, and I went to and you know this, but I went to 165 minimum grassroots events around the state last year during election year. I watched Josh Hawley get what I would call an organic standing ovation at every single event from Joplin to Jefferson County, where people would listen to his message and spring to his feet and give him a standing O. Now, typically that was a conservative audience, but still, this is a young man who is a generational, transformational candidate with all the gifts, both tangible and intangible. He's one of the best politicians I have seen, and I don't mean that as a slight, but he's one of the best politicians, political operators that I've seen in a very long time. And as far as I can tell from looking him in the eye and having a conversation with the man, he believes what he says, which is to say he's a committed conservative.
Absolutely.
That he's going to go there and he's not going to disappoint us on his votes. I would suspect that he's going to get a very high Heritage Action score when he gets there. You hear me say when he gets there, I think he beats Claire McCaskill.
Wonderful. Hey, we got 1 minute left. How can folks follow you? Are you in the social media world?
Sure. At Ryan Johnson MO is the best way to get me on Twitter.
Okay.
So yeah, check me out there, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey,
to be
you
on
were
the
great
show.
tonight. Lots of information, and we will definitely have you back. Is it Josie?
No, that's Hosea.
Hosea. I'm sorry, Hosea. The spelling here, I couldn't quite read. Hey, I got 30 seconds, Hosea. I'm sorry I couldn't get to you. What you got? Real fast.
Real quick.
Yes.
Real quick. If Michelle Obama would have posed nude like the First Lady now did, do you think that Barack Obama would have been elected president?
Oh, I don't know about that one, Jose. I'm not sure. Hey, this is the Tim Jones Show. We'll end on a light note, right? Thanks for listening. Thanks to all the great callers tonight. Thank you to Ryan Johnson. Thank you to Annie Fry. This is Tim Jones, the Tim Jones Show. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Wouldn't be here without you. Katie, Suzanne, Abby, I'll be home soon. Ken and Andrew, thank you so much. We'll be back next week live, as we are every week, 7 to 9 p.m. on the Tim Jones Show, FM News Talk 97.1. We have got Jamie Ullman in the morning.
This is the Tim Jones Show.
When it comes to saving and managing your hard-earned money, you need a cohesive strategy. Randy Tobler here for my friends at Convergent Wealth Management. It's more than picking investments. It's about active financial design and effective execution of that plan. The experts at Convergent Wealth Management are fully licensed to meet any financial need. They're a full-service CPA firm, an independent insurance firm, an independent registered investment advisor. As a fiduciary, they're fully committed to the interests of their clients, not banks or brokerage firms. They're a faith-based organization, driven by values, the same values you live by. All services are included in a single fee, unlike brokerage firms who operate on commissions. They're conveniently located in Chesterfield, and they'll meet with you for a free consultation when you mention my name, Randy Tobler. Schedule your consultation today at convergentwm.com. That's convergentwm.com. Or call 636-536-1800. 636-536-1800. Convergent Wealth Management. Wealth for the way.
Radio moves. Radio breathes. Radio never sleeps. And Next Radio keeps up. It goes where you go, so you never miss a beat. It's live, it's local, it's a connection. A shared experience, just you and your radio. And a couple million people, give or take. Next Radio keeps up.